Good afternoon and welcome to the Uckfield Chamber monthly podcast, where we keep you up to date with all the latest local business news and events going on in the town. My name is Claire Allen. I'm the treasurer for the Chamber, and I'm also a local business person running Team 4 bookkeeping down in the roller mill by the station. Also with me today is my co-host, Chris Dowling. Chris, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yeah, hello. Thank you very much. Very, very good to see you, Claire. Very good to be joining you on the podcast today. Let's hope we do a good job. Yes, I'm Chris Dowling. I live in Uckfield and I've lived here for many years. I run a business consultancy and business mentoring business using my many years of business experience working with clients who are in the Uckfield area and those who are further afield. I'm also a local councillor, I have to confess. I'm the county councillor for Uckfield South, but please don't blame me for that. But very pleased to be here today and looking forward to the show. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And I mustn't forget to say a little mention to Gordon Manklow from Relativity, who is our backroom boy today, doing all the techie bits in the background, making sure this runs smoothly. So thank you, Gordon, and hello.
It's all down to him. It's all down to him.
Yeah. It's not the glamorous people on the front here, is it, at all? So what's happening in Uckfield? Well, it's all beginning to feel a little bit Christmassy now. With the festive displays going on in the high street shops now. Everybody's getting their shop fronts all decorated for Christmas, and it's looking pretty lovely, I have to say. The Christmas lights, I believe, are going to be switched on at the end of next week, and we have a late night shopping event going on as well. That's on Friday evening. So we're encouraging local residents to shop local and make the most of our wonderful range of goods on offer in our high street retailers. So in other business news, M&S, as I think we probably all know now, opened with a bit of a bang with queues at the door as it first opened. I'm sure most of Uckfield has been there now to do a little bit of shopping and check out the place. The Highlands Inn retail unit. Does anybody actually know what's going on there? I've heard so many rumours and whispers, and I'm not sure that anybody actually knows. Chris, are you aware of what?
I've heard rumours, so
yeah.
People talk about rumours. But I think what I've heard and what I've picked up, I think it's looking okay. I think there's probably just a bit of a delay in them opening the doors, but let's wait and see. I don't doubt there'll be an official announcement and some genuine information coming through in the near future. But the building looks very impressive. It's going to be a good addition to Uckfield. Let's just wait and see.
Yeah,
see how it
quite.
goes.
Yes. Keep the rumour mill going, eh? So, there's a few new businesses we've noticed in the town. I haven't spoken to anybody personally who owns the businesses, but it looks like the Sussex Osteopaths have now got a high street outlet there. I believe they're an established business in town anyway, but it looks like they're moving into one of the shop fronts in the high street. We can see there's a new gift shop, Pots of Love, which is always a new welcome to have a new gift shop in the town. It's always lovely. And St Peter St James Hospice, they've opened their furniture store, which is looking fab actually, in the old HSBC building. They've got loads of space there, lots of furniture in there. I believe who opened it? Somebody well known opened it.
Piers Morgan was there last Saturday. Of course, he's got local connections. He's got family connections in the Uckfield area. So
okay.
He's sometimes seen in the town.
Local celeb then. That's cool. So there's a few new things going in town. It's always good to see all the shops being fully occupied, isn't it? It's nothing worse than unoccupied shops on the high street. And I have to say, Uckfield always looks great. Always looks a really busy town. There's always stuff going on. So it's really nice to see.
Empty shops convey a bad image. But I think in Uckfield, I don't think there are any vacancies present other than NatWest, but that's another story. But how
we're pretty lucky.
Yeah, I think we are very much so compared to other towns.
We don't. Yeah, it doesn't look run down. It looks a great town. Yeah. It's thriving, actually. There's always plenty of people in the high street. I always think it's great. Yeah. It's got a good feel. And just on other business news, the last thing I've got on my list to report is the Ashdown Radio big event of the year, which is on Friday night, tomorrow night, at East Sussex National. They put on the Uckfield Community Awards, which is fantastic, really. It's awarding all those people who do good in town, basically. The Chamber, us, the Uckfield Chamber, we sponsor one award, which is the Teacher of the Year, which is a lovely thing to do, and certainly great to praise local teachers, isn't it? So I'm very excited about that. Unfortunately, I won't be making it, but I know lots of our members are going to be there supporting the event, so that's fantastic.
Yeah.
So now time
can we also just mention the Swindell's accountants event? So I know it's awfully short notice, but Swindell's, who are chamber members, their office is on Bell Lane. They've got a session in their office with the chief executive officer of Sussex Beds. His story, how he rebuilt the business, how he brought the business forward, and how he got it to where it is today. I think there's still an opportunity to register, but it's tomorrow morning at 10 o'clock, 10:30. So anyone who's interested, investigate that perhaps through the Swindell's website to see what opportunities there are there. But just to a bit of a late notice on that one, but something that's happening business-wise tomorrow. So yeah, Claire.
Oh, that's great news. No, actually, I think from what I understand, the chairman of Sussex Bed Centre is quite an interesting person, has an interesting story to tell. So I'd imagine that'll be a good event. And actually, right. And on that point, there are some fantastic networking events in the town, and we'll touch on some of those later on. So yes, we're now going to introduce our guest for this month, Paul Matthews of Insight 6. Hello, Paul. I can see his little face there. Welcome to the podcast. So you're a relatively new member of our chamber. But I know I've met you previously. I've seen you around the networking scene, as it were. So you're quite well known locally, I believe. And you've run a fantastically interesting, I think, anyway, business. So I'm so pleased you're coming on to talk about it to us today. So Paul, say hello, introduce yourself, and we'll start quizzing you.
Well, first, hi, Chris. Nice to meet you both. Thank you very much for having me on. I guess it was because Piers Morgan couldn't make it. I don't know, but as soon as you referenced him earlier, but it's nice to be here.
Yes, so modest.
A little bit about me. First and foremost, I'm a dad and husband. I've got 2 children, Dylan and Olivia, and my wife Louise. We live in Battle, just not too far from Uckfield. And I work with a number of businesses in and around the Uckfield and surrounding areas. I'm keen on keeping fit, so I do triathlons. I like to swim in the sea and ride my bike and then run. Been doing that for about 5 years now. I'm a very keen Brighton and Hove Albion supporter. Real shame that Mr. Noble couldn't be with us today, because there's a little bit of rivalry there between his Crystal Palace lot and our Brighton boys. So I've been supporting Brighton for 38 years through thick and thin, and great to see them doing so well. And I like my Formula One, so yeah, I enjoy watching the F1 and more the kind of technical stuff these days than the racing, to be honest. It's not the most exciting anymore, unfortunately. But again, been following that for about 35 years. So that's kind of a bit about me on a personal note, anyway.
So where do you get time to work? You do run a business, don't you, Paul?
Yeah, do that on the side. My hobbies and interests out very much kind of evenings, weekends, early in the morning, best time of day.
I imagine you do. Swimming in the sea is quite a commitment, I would imagine.
Yeah, and I'll be honest, I am a fair weather swimmer. You know, you won't find me in there at this time of year when it's a bit chilly and a bit choppy. So yeah,
I'm not surprised. Yes. Well, lovely, Paul. That's a bit about you. So your business, I obviously know a little bit about you, but I want to dig a bit deeper. So you call yourself a customer experience specialist. I'm just interested to know what that means and what it entails, Paul.
Yeah, so I suppose what I really do is I help businesses to give the best possible experience to their customers. And we do that in lots and lots of different ways. We know customers are really vital to any business. Whether they're your customers, patients, clients, whatever you call them, they're critical to your business. After all, if you don't have them, you haven't got a business. So we have a number of solutions that we help businesses with, from the things we can see on the screen here. So customer journey mapping. So what we would do is really understand properly what the business is trying to achieve and the journey that they're taking their customers or prospects on. So we look at each of those steps in turn and make sure that they're really giving a consistent service at each of those different steps. How is the customer feeling? What's actually going on? And making sure that we're wowing them at every point in the journey. So that's really useful for just getting into the detail of actually how a business operates. We also have customer experience reviews, which you're more commonly known as mystery inquiries or mystery shopping. And that's where we're testing those processes. So we look at exactly what is the business trying to achieve, what should their customers be experiencing, and then we send people in who are fully trained and handpicked to do those jobs and actually act as a customer and give really detailed, insightful feedback on what happened and how it felt to be a customer. And that's really insightful because businesses then get to understand what they're doing well, what they're doing not so, or they're not doing so well, and maybe what training they need to give to their team, what process changes they need to make, or hopefully the praise and recognition that they can give to their teams for a job well done. We then have training and development. So we'll help businesses with sales training, with customer experience training, with how to handle difficult customers. And just that can be at normally at the kind of ground floor level, team members that are actually dealing face to face with customers, but it can also be team leaders and line managers. We have a very successful customer online feedback platform called Instant Insight, which helps businesses to gather feedback from their staff and customers. So after an engagement with a business, after a transaction, or even during a transaction, we help businesses to gather insight from their customers so that they can make sure they're delivering the kind of experience that they should be. And when they're not, having the opportunity to find out that from their customers and then putting it right. We know that there's much greater advocacy when you solve a problem for a customer than if the problem had never occurred in the first place. So the key is often just finding out what went wrong or what's going on, and then you can put it right and keep a customer for life. And then we run a couple of other kind of items, focus groups, focus and listening groups. So staff and customer focus groups, that could be new products or services that businesses are thinking of launching. We can talk to their customers about those. Or it might even be staff focus groups around off the back of staff engagement surveys, putting a bit more meat on the bone for why they feel a certain way. And then we also offer mentoring and coaching services as well. So that's kind of in a nutshell what we're all about.
Okay.
Well, it covers a whole range of things, doesn't it?
There's a lot there. I'm just wondering, of those 6 you offer, which is the most active, which is seen to be the most important from your clients? That would be interesting to hear where you are with that.
Yeah, well, the best businesses that we work with have a number of different of those processes in place. So some of them work hand in hand. For example, the CX reviews, the mystery inquiries, alongside the real customer feedback is really, really important, because the customer insight, whenever you're getting feedback from your customers, they're telling you what they want to tell you. That's their perspective, their view, and that's really important. The mystery shopping side, the mystery visitor side, that's much more based on what you want to find out, because you've set, as the business owner, you've set the criteria of the things that we're going to be feeding back on. So that really gives you a brilliant insight into whether processes have been followed. For example, a customer might go to a restaurant and say their feedback would be what a wonderful experience they had, how friendly and helpful the staff member was, that the server was that dealt with them. But it wouldn't say that they didn't offer them additional drinks or upsold them the side orders. Whereas the mystery shopping would say the server was fantastic, really friendly and helpful, but didn't do these parts of your process which you expect them to be doing. So making a personal recommendation, upselling the drinks or the food orders, which, there should be no shame in that. Businesses ultimately need to make a profit. They need to generate revenue from their customers, and that's what we help them to do, so that they can stay in business and not have the empty shops that you talked about earlier. In any town or city.
Yeah. And who would be a typical client? You mentioned restaurants. Can understand that, but other than restaurants, who else is seeking your services? What sectors?
Yeah, we work across many different sectors. We have attractions, so thinking of local business, someone like Knockhatch Adventure Park that you'll be familiar with, I'm sure, which isn't too far away.
Yes.
They work with us from the both on the feedback side and on the mystery visit side of the business. We have retailers such as, again, the aforementioned Sussex Beds, optical businesses. We have a lot of professional services firms, so law firms, accountancy firms, education, private schools, especially a big sector for us. So it's very broad. As I kind of alluded to earlier, if a business has got a customer, a client, a patient, then they've got a need to deliver a high experience, and because presumably they'll want to keep those patients, clients, or customers, so they should be working hard to understand how they feel and make sure they're giving them the best possible experience.
Yeah, and happy customers come back, don't they? Repeat business, and that's what we all want to work on, what we want to build on.
Absolutely, and in some respects, I think of myself as a bit of a loyalty builder. You know, that because actually, what every business is searching for is loyalty. If you can get loyalty from your customers, then they do a number of different things. They become what we call promoters, and I'll talk a bit more about that later. But promoters essentially come back more often. They tell other people to come and visit you. They spend more money when they come back. They're less price sensitive because they trust you and like you and want to work with you and shop with you. And the other key thing often people forget is they complain less, which actually costs you less. Which, as well as that being a bonus, it costs you less money to service them as well, because you're not spending lots of time, effort, and energy solving problems and putting things right.
Very good. Yes.
So when did you start your business, Paul? What attracted you? Because it's quite a niche thing. I don't know anybody else that does anything like this.
Yeah, so I started back in January 15. So I'm coming up for 9 years, if my maths is right. Yeah, 9 years in January. I'd used, well, let's go back a step. When I was a kid, my dad had his own business, not related. It was a haulage business, local actually. He used to pick up apples from all around the county and take them into Merrydown that used to be at Horham, which you may or may not remember. He'd always had his own business. So as a kid, I always kind of thought, right, one day I'd like to have my own business. And in kind of 2014, I had a lot of time in my previous career and I had wanted to do something different. And so I thought, well, what transferable skills are there? What have I learned that I could do? And I'd always been very passionate about customer experience, about delivering great experiences to customers. And so an opportunity came along at that time. And I thought, well, let's go for it. What's the worst that can happen, as they say? And I mean, there was definitely a lot of naivety when I look back now. You know, I had 2 small children at the time, 4 and 2 or something. And yeah, it could have gone very wrong, but thankfully it didn't. And 9 years later, I've got a great business, and which I love. So yeah, that's kind of how it happened, really.
Yeah, lovely work. Carry on.
It was a good decision to go out on your own. Then it's been a success story.
Absolutely, yeah. It's the best thing that I've ever, best decision that I'd ever made from a career point of view. Certainly, yeah. I just love the fact they get to work with businesses. You know, I say this to a lot of people. I only work with the best businesses. And what I mean by that is only the best businesses really put the customer at the center of their business and invest in giving the best possible experience, because they know it pays them back hand over fist. So I get to work with these people who are passionate about delivering great service, who understand the need for it. And so that's just what that's what I love doing. I love working with those kind of business owners.
Yeah. The customer is king. It's the phrase, isn't it? That's the maxim that so many of us work to. And many people in business, I see it in what I do. Many business owners I work with, they fail to recognise the importance of a customer or what they can get from a customer and delivery to the customer as well. It's well, it'll be okay, but it's not it's not going to be okay. It's going to be very, very good. And that's where you come in to try and re-educate them, try and train them and alert them to that importance. So
yeah, and I think a lot of business owners don't necessarily see things from their customers' perspective. So we very much encourage the businesses that we work with to come out of their perspective and step into their customers' shoes and really see the business from a totally different perspective.
Yeah.
A lot of processes, policies, things that businesses have in place are there for the good of the business and not often for the good of the customer. And if you can go on a journey to slowly change that and actually have your processes and policies in place for the good of your customer, then that pays you back in spades, because you're then suddenly easier to deal with, nicer to deal with, and so therefore people come back more often. A great example of that is Amazon. So love them or loathe them, one thing that they do exceptionally well is put the customer at the center of their business. Jeff Bezos, the CEO, I'm not sure if that's actually his title anymore, but was the CEO. They have an empty chair at the boardroom in every board meeting, and that empty chair is there to signify the customer. So every decision they make and everything they do goes through the voice of the customer to make sure that it's what's the impact going to be of this change of policy, process, whatever it might be, on our most important individual, our customer.
The customer, yeah, good philosophy, very good. You mentioned what you did. Well, you started to mention what you did before you started the business. It'd just be interesting to know what you actually did before you started business. You mentioned your father's business, and I assume you didn't go into that, or you may have touched it very briefly. But what did you do before you started your business?
Yeah, so my career background's interesting. So I started work at 12 with a paper round, as a lot of kids did, I guess, of my generation. Don't see so many of them today, sadly. I think newspapers are a thing of the past, aren't they? Only delivering to the house anyway. So yeah, I had a paper round. Then I got a number of different cleaning jobs, and then I went on 2 weeks work experience at my local leisure centre. So I'm a product of the work experience scheme, which I'm very much an advocate of. I went for 2 weeks work experience, and they liked me and they offered me a job. And I was in the leisure industry for 20 years, from literally Saturday boy, cleaning the changing rooms. I was then a lifeguard and worked in every single different position kind of through the business, and then became overall responsible for 3 leisure centres in Hastings for a number of years. And then I went and worked for Duncan Bannatyne, who you know from the show Dragon's Den, I'm sure. Worked with Duncan for 5 years, managing private health club, hotel and spa. And then I moved into larger aquatic venues, kind of destination resort type venues, managing large teams. But the common theme throughout my whole career in the leisure industry is there's lots of customers and lots of operational challenges, and lots of complaints. And so these things stood me in very good stead for working in the business that I'm doing now, which is all about customers and all about understanding them and understanding what they like, what they don't, what they love, what they hate, and how to make sure they're having the best possible experience. So I had a lot of background experience with using mystery shoppers, using feedback tools during my leisure career that I could then implement in my business today.
Yeah. That picture of Duncan Bannatyne, he looks very glum. Have you just reported him on bad customer service?
I think I just told him I was leaving at that stage.
Oh, I see. Oh, right. Okay.
He's not known for his joyous outlook, though, is he?
No comment there.
Well, I'm just intrigued to know, have you ever had a project where you found the customer experience was so poor that that you had to deliver some really bad news to the client?
Oh, sadly, yes. I mean, especially when we, not exclusively, but when we start working with a business, it can be particularly difficult. And I always, before we even started work, when we're talking about working together and forming a partnership, I always say, look, you need to be aware of here is I am your critical friend. Everything that I say is about making your business better. And for want of a better phrase, sometimes I'm going to tell you that your baby is ugly. And that isn't a nice thing for people to hear, because they think of their businesses like their children, like their baby who is beautiful and lovely and the best baby, the most beautiful baby we've ever seen. The reality is that sometimes it isn't, and you don't see that because you've got rose tinted glasses on because it's yours. So I do make that point very early on and say, look, I'm not here to be a disruptor. I'm here to help you to be better. And so there's times when I can remember one particular instance of a business that will remain unnamed, but they asked us to do some inquiries through their website, which had been up and running for about 3 months. I think they'd had a change of provider, and so we made all these inquiries in. Within a few days, I rung them up and said, look, we've started and we're not getting any response from you. It turned out that they weren't even getting any of the web inquiries that people were making through their website. So, just something really simple like that, where, that would have been the case for 3 months. They wouldn't have even known that those inquiries were not always going through to the people that they should have been going through to. So they're missing inquiries. And if you're missing inquiries, well, you can't deliver a good, you're ignoring them, aren't you? And what's the perception of that to the prospects?
Yeah. Well, I guess nobody would come to you and employ your services if they weren't keen to actually improve their offering. So that's a good sign.
I would hope not. Yeah.
Exactly. So yes, we touched on some of your customers, but can you sort of expand on that a bit and maybe talk about some of the clients you work with and what does an ideal customer look like to you?
Yeah, so we've got, as I kind of alluded to earlier, a number of different types of clients in many, many different sectors. What an ideal client looks like really is, first and foremost, there's no one that's too small. So often people will think, oh, I wouldn't be big enough to work with an organisation like Insight 6. Well, that's not the case at all. We have very, very small businesses that we work with. We up to very, very big businesses that we work with. So, Arnold Clark, for example, the biggest car retailer in the UK. We have 3 of the top 6 biggest car retailers in the UK that we work with, and then we have businesses at the completely other end of the scale, like Hastings Adventure Golf Course, for example, down on Hastings Seafront. Mini golf course, 3 lovely courses down there. We do training for their team. We do mystery visits to the courses and make sure they're in tip-top condition and make sure the team are doing what they should be doing. So and everything in between. So there's nobody that's too small. An ideal client for us tends to be a business that's often they've got multiple outlets or multiple units or teams. So they then lose the ability to keep on top of what's really going on. So the journey tends to be, I don't know, let's give an example. A coffee shop opens and you open Claire's Coffee. And Claire's Coffee is great because Claire's there every day. And it's brilliant because she's serving the customers and you're keeping up to speed with what's going on. And it's so good that you open Claire's Coffee in another neighbouring town. But unfortunately, Claire's not there all the time. So she can't keep an eye now on what's going on. So it's really important to have some kind of metrics in place to make sure that you're on top of that and getting feedback. So they tend to be multiple units or multiple department type businesses that we work with. But as I say, nobody's too small or too big.
That's good to hear. And looking at your slide there, number of local names: Dawson Hart, Local Fuels, Knockhatch, and others as well. So you're obviously working with people who are in Sussex. That's obviously some in the Uckfield area, and obviously further afield, and obviously a big name with Arnold Clark and Eurotunnel as well. So got some real reach and some real diversity in that client base of yours.
Yeah, the thing I love the most is it's great to have big clients, of course it is, but it's actually I love the independent space, so those businesses who you can really make a difference, those businesses who really And I put people like Dawson Hart, Bennett Oakley, those businesses, and Sussex Beds, certainly Bruford's, in this category. They are ones that genuinely want to deliver great experiences, generally want to understand how their customers are feeling, and are on a consistent mission to deliver great service. And they're the ones that I really love working with.
Yeah, good. I'm sure they're delivering great results. Perhaps you could tell us how the mechanism, how you actually do it, in a quick nutshell, but how's it actually work?
So Peter Drucker, you'll know this, Chris, I'm sure. If you can't measure it, you can't manage it. So he's
aware of it. Yes. Yeah.
So this is kind of the premise of the mystery shopping side of things. So, or indeed customer feedback. If you're not measuring it, you can't manage it. Therefore, you can't know what you're really delivering. Therefore, how can you know where you are to then identify where you want to be and then put in place the steps to get there? So how we tend to work with the mystery shopping side of the business, we will work with a client to understand what their business looks like, what the prospect experience or the customer experience should be. So that would involve really understanding, okay, what are your team doing when someone walks in? So let's say we've got a coffee shop. Again, we're back to Claire's Coffee. Claire's Coffee, we'll sit down with Claire and we'll really understand what the process should be, from walking down the street 100 meters away, the first impression, the perception, the signage, through to coming in and engaging with a team member, placing my order, the upsell that should happen, the cross sell that should happen, the loyalty card, all of that stuff, and really understand in minute detail exactly what should be happening and what's most important to that business as well. Then we'll build the criteria and build a mystery shopping report that reflects that. We've then got a team, a researcher team of people who are handpicked, who are trained to do this work. And that's really important, because people just think, oh, you just get somebody off the street and get them to go into a shop and buy something. Absolutely not the case at all. We have a team of people who are doing this work all across the UK right now. So they get given the job, they're told it needs to be done in this window of time, and here's the full brief. So there'll be a detailed brief, a background on the business, what their mission is, of what they're trying to achieve during this particular visit, what scenario they've got to ask or what they've got to say. They'll then go and do that visit. They'll write up their report critically within 24 hours of having been to the premises. And that's important, because obviously accuracy is the key thing here. So while it's fresh in mind, it's written. It then goes into our quality control team. So we've got a team of team members who check the report for any ambiguity, make sure it's grammatically well written, etc., and makes sense. And then if it does, then it's released to the client via our portal, our online portal, and email notification. If it's not meeting our standard, it will then go back to that team member, the researcher, who will then make whatever changes the quality control manager has asked for. And then you've got an online portal where, as the client, you can look at all of your reports, you can run reports and identify trends in terms of how often certain things have happened or not happened. And so it enables you to analyze the business, the prospect or customer experience, and identify areas of improvement. And then we help, of course, with the coaching team members to give feedback around the mystery visits as well, and make sure they can be used properly in the business to facilitate improvements and change in behaviours where necessary.
Fantastic.
Right.
So
yeah, thank you for that.
There's an awful
overview.
lot involved in this, isn't there, actually? I mean, like you said, the mystery shopper thing sounds really exciting and interesting, and it sounds like a great job. I'd love to do that, but there's an awful lot more to it than that, of course.
Yeah. Everybody says that.
So yeah, so do you have any? Yeah, I bet they do. I bet you've got people falling at your feet wanting this job. So yeah, do you have any particular?
We don't have too much trouble recruiting, that's for sure.
No, fantastic. I mean, yeah, I guess going drinking coffee all day and going into restaurants sounds lovely. So do you have any particularly unusual or interesting projects you've worked on? Something that's a little bit out of the ordinary for you?
Yeah, so things that out of the ordinary, or they're not out of the ordinary to me because we do them all the time, but things that people might not expect. So a really kind of big thing is competitor mystery shopping. So we've got our own clients, of course we have, but our clients have got competitors. So our clients then, as well as us mystery shopping our clients, we will then mystery shop the competitors of our clients to help them get a competitive advantage, to understand what it is going on in that business, how those businesses are handling inquiries, what can they learn from those things to do them better, what are those other businesses doing better than them that they can improve on. So that's really, really interesting and really valuable to our clients. Another one that's often interesting is shoplifting. So we do shoplifting mystery visits where the goal is to steal something. We'll obviously have a letter of authority that where if we are caught, then we produce the letter of authority, which stops the police being phoned or any shenanigans going on that might do if it was a real shoplifter. So that's an interesting one, which again people wouldn't normally think of. And what else? Just, I guess, finding things that are of real benefit. I just, like I alluded to with the web inquiries not going through, that it's just, we love kind of unearthing things that the business didn't realize were happening, which are beneficial to them so they can actually change their processes or make an improvement.
Yeah, no, that's amazing. Yeah, it's really interesting.
Good. Just, I think probably sort of almost last question, and thank you for sort of being so thorough with the other questions that you've answered and the information you've passed on. Just, if you've got some top tips for businesses to improve their customer experience, to improve their customer service, what are the big things, the key things they can do, and things they can do quickly as well?
So I think top tips are: one, listen to your customer. I always say to people feel the way they do about your business, whether you ask them or not. Finding out how they feel just means you can do something about it. If you know they're not happy, you can make them happy. If you know they're happy, you can shout about it from the rooftops via your social media. So there's no downside to asking your customers for feedback. The problem is that people think it's not a nice thing to do. So it's a bit like but I say to them, it's just like taking medicine. You don't like to do it. It doesn't taste very nice at the time, but actually it's always good for you in the long run. You never regret, or very rarely regret, taking medicine because it makes you better. And that's what I say about. So listen to your customers. Employ good people is my second tip. The best way to give great service to customers is to employ people that want to give good service to customers. So employ well and make sure that customer service or customer experience is on your checklist for recruitment. Whatever you're doing, make sure that is in there. What else would I say? Just be open. Make sure that you're open to getting feedback. Make sure that always ask this question. Yeah, the ultimate question: Net Promoter Score. So when you are gathering feedback from your customers, use this Net Promoter Score question. A Net Promoter Score is a universally recognized metric of CX, of customer experience. And there's two rules. One, it has to be about recommendation, and two, it has to be on a scale of 0 to 10. And then your Net Promoter Score is just basically the percentage of promoters, and you deduct from that your percentage of detractors, so the people that score you 0 to 6, and that gives you a number, and that is your Net Promoter Score. And you can then benchmark yourself against other companies that publish their Net Promoter Scores, and you can benchmark yourself against your own performance over time. Are we really delivering the type of experience that we think we are? Are our customers actually as happy as we would like to think they are? Now you know that they are because you've asked them. And if you want to find out more about that, there's a good book that you can read. The Ultimate Question. I definitely recommend reading The Ultimate Question. This is all about Net Promoter. And the other book that's great to read is Outside In. Outside In is about what I talked about earlier, looking at your business from the outside, from your customer's perspective, and really understanding how the changes that you can make in a business, if you do it from the point of view of your customer, they will pay you back in spades over time.
Yes, thank you for that. Some good bedside reading. Just coming back on your point about employing the right people, I just think in business, people are just having the right people in the right place, doing the right thing, particularly in hospitality. People who've got the words, got the styles, got the facial expressions, the body language. It's so vitally important. And I think probably many of us have seen the wrong people in the wrong place, and that must be detrimental to a business. Now that selection is very, very important, absolutely key. And I come across people who, they're running a business, they've got a particular view of a business, but they're in the wrong place, or they've got the wrong people there. And that I say to them so often, it's business is about people. People are important. Get the right people, you get the results you want.
Absolutely.
I see you making that point.
I completely agree. A lot of the training that we deliver is all around the softer skills, the tonality, the right words we're using, and most importantly, the body language. Because the customer experience ultimately is about a feeling. It's not about what people say. It's not about what people do. It's about how you make people feel. That feeling that you get ultimately is what you remember. That is the perception that is created of a business after you've engaged with it. And if that feeling is great, you want to go back and do it again. So it's Maya Angelou who said that, the quote that's on the screen, and she's absolutely right. And I love this quote because it says everything you need to know about customer experience.
Very wise. Yes, there we are.
I totally agree with that. It's a great quote. And I think that and it runs through all businesses. It doesn't matter what you do, whether you're a service provider or product provider. It's how the customer feels, isn't it? So they'll want to keep coming back. So thank you, Paul. So do you have any plans for the future now? I mean, you seem to have got it all nailed by the sounds of it, but have you got any more interesting lines to what you do to bring into the business?
No, we're not planning on changing, but we're always moving forward. We're always trying to adapt, of course, but we're fundamentally not looking to change too much around what we do. We just want to continue to work with the great businesses that we're already working with, and other great businesses that are out there that genuinely want to put the customer at the center of their business. So yeah, that's what our aim is, really.
And who checks your customer service?
Well, that's a great point. We do ask. We obviously ask our business partners, the ones we work with, to give us feedback on an ongoing basis, and we check our own mystery shoppers. Our researcher team, they get feedback on every job that they do, and so we're always checking in with them to make sure that we're delivering at the right level.
Good.
Fantastic.
Right.
Paul, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you.
I'm so sorry. I know we're talking across each other because I have a delay, I'm afraid, on my internet at the moment. I'm so sorry. But yeah, Paul, thank you. If anybody wants to contact Paul, Insight 6, you've got a lovely website, tells you all about yourself. We can be contacted through the chamber as well. So chamber members can just log on to the chamber website, and there's a directory of all our businesses there, so they can contact you. But I think every business needs a Paul to make sure their customer service is top notch, or certainly improving anyway. Thank you for your time. I think Chris is now going to have a little chat to us about all the forthcoming events. So I'll hand over to you, Chris.
Thank you very much. Yes, there's a lot coming up. We're moving towards the festive season, so everyone's starting to get very merry and very jolly. And Christmas, I think, is 4 weeks on Monday, so it's really crept up on us, but I think it's coming into full view now. Just some things to mention. I think the big one I want to talk about is and tell you about is Friday of next week. Friday, 1st December, that is late night shopping. There's a picture of a previous late night shopping evening in Uckfield, organised by the Chamber, obviously with the cooperation of the traders and the shops in the high street. Please come along. There'll be a lot on offer. There'll be a lot happening that evening. It'll be there'll be food, there'll be events, there'll be schools singing. all the things we usually do. Perhaps we'll have some few extra things as well. There's also the elf hunt for the younger children. There's the elf hunt for them to go and score their sheets and everything. So please do that, and please bring your families and bring your friends and encourage them. The shops will be open. There'll be a lot going on, and it'll be a really enjoyable evening. In harness with that, in association with that, we've got the Festival of Trees at the Holy Trinity, at the Holy Cross Church, I should say. Big established event in Uckfield nowadays. Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Come and see the Festival of Trees. Some 70 or 80 trees there. Local charities, local businesses supporting the church and supporting the town. Can I also mention the Chamber Christmas lunch? It's sold out. Perhaps that tells us how popular it is. That's on Friday, the 15th of December at the Picture House. If you haven't booked, you're too late, unless Ian's got a reserve list, should there be some people who pull out late on. But another one of the Chamber's activities, a lot going on there. I'll mention a couple of events that are in January. So when we're all into January blues, you can feel a bit better and get a bit perked up. 10th of January is the our monthly virtual networking event, 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, online, open to members and non-members. Our special guest at that event will be Henry, who's the the personal trainer who we're seeing at meetings nowadays, coming along how to tell us to keep fit, especially after Christmas, when perhaps we've all overindulged a bit. On the 24th of January, we got the members meeting, the bi-monthly members meeting. We had the November meeting last week. In January, 24th of January, it's at the wonderful venue of Buxted Park Hotel. So please look out for that one. Again, members only, but booking will be open. Our speaker at that event will be Juliet Andrew. She's coming down from London. She's going to talk about the care for the carers, the good work that charity does to support people who are carers, be it for family, be it for friends, but also those who are working, as those who are carers who are at work, and how it impacts and on their work life and on the relationship with their employer, and some tips on how to work with that. And then the following day, it's all happening that week. We've got the next business podcast on Thursday, the 25th of January, when our speaker will be Johnny Phoenix from the Phoenix Health Hub at the top of the High Street. Johnny was due to come to a previous meeting. Sadly, we had to cancel it. Not his fault. Other issues around, but Johnny is very kindly agreed to step in for 25th of January. So please do your best to attend that and find out all the things that Johnny does and what he does. Can I finally mention the Uckfield Business Awards in 2024? The Business Awards the evening will be, I think I'm right saying the 26th of September next year. Be a big event at the East Sussex National. The awards are now open. We've got a number of sponsors have stepped up and been very generous in offering their support and their money for the event. But there are still some vacancies and some gaps for the Uckfield Business Awards to be sponsors. So if you want to take part and be a sponsor, please do so. There's one category in particular which I'm jointly sponsoring, and I need a partner to help me sponsor that. So if you want to be the joint sponsor on the Family Business Award, then please let Ian know or contact me direct, and we'll be very happy to have a chat. Last year, I jointly sponsored a category with Gordon, who's our producer, and it was a very good combination we had there, and I was very pleased to work with Gordon on that. And I'll be equally pleased to work with whoever wants to come and join me for Business Awards 2024. But a real highlight and a real feature in the business year of the Chamber and of Uckfield. I think that covers all the business events, all the things we want to talk about that the Chamber is doing. So back to you, Claire.
Thank you, Chris. Thank you so much, Chris. So that's up to me now to wrap up. We won't be having a podcast next month because there's so much going on in December anyway. Nobody wants to hear from us. So I hope you all have a wonderful festive season. And we'll be seeing you all again in the new year. It's hard to believe, 2024. We'll see you again on the next podcast then. Thank you, Paul. Thank you, Chris. And thank you, Gordon, in the background. See you soon.
Thank you. Look forward to the next one. Thank you. Happy Christmas, everyone.